Call with the Coach ahead of the Sanford Spartans football game. By the way, varsity football game tonight at 7 on your radio right here on Seacoast Oldies. Now, since last year, they have a brand new coach, Coach Todd, who's joined us here on the program.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to do this with you throughout the rest of the season, of course. And so, yeah, we're excited to get some exposure for this program. That's much needed.
Now, what's awesome is actually you're in studio today. We don't require you to be in studio every single week, but where do you come from?
I'm originally from Massachusetts. Grew up in a town called Danvers, Massachusetts. And, I always knew I wanted to get into coaching. And, it just didn't happen till later in life. I got some exposure coaching at a national level with a New Hampshire All-Star team. So that kind of triggered into opportunities with high school programs. My first start in the high school level was with a rival of ours now, Massabesic.
No way.
Yeah, and Lucas Labby took me on board that year as well. So that was good exposure. And then moving on, really because of logistics, and at that point it just made more sense. But also with some of the connections from my youth years, I spent 2 really quality years at Salem High School in New Hampshire under head coach Steve Abraham. And I always say Steve is a hard-nosed coach, a wing T. And truly, though, working with a Division I program, which is what that was in New Hampshire, that really allowed me to see what big boy football is about, in this high school region, in this region for high school football. And so learned a ton, not only from him, but other assistant coaches that are under him. And so that was really helpful. And then, after those 2 years, and we had a very successful year the last year, I helped with their quarterback, Nolan Lumley, become an all-conference kid. He did the work, but we were definitely behind the scenes working quite a bit. And then I decided to take, I would say, a professional calculated risk, I guess. And I went to York High School in Maine, of course, and worked for Matt Nelson, who's the head coach there currently as well, still is. And got handed a very talented quarterback, Peter Martin. Peter last year in 2024 threw for the most yards, most touchdowns in the state. We ran a spread offense, and and I was able to really get a little more autonomy in terms of developing that position, but also having a little more say in the offense. And it was more helpful than I think I even realized. And so I do carry some of those concepts to where we are with Sanford today. But that's how that happened. And then when this opening happened, I had interviewed for a few other positions as a head coach, and got to the final round for each of those positions, including Scarborough. But this came about after, and I'm grateful for it. So
you've had an interesting first season. New coach come out of the gate. You got to win. I'm sure that felt great. We've had some challenges along the way. Last week the team was right there. Can you give us a recap of last week?
Yeah, we had it was a battle. It was a rock fight against Scarborough. I mean, it was 0-0 at halftime. I mean, it was a defensive struggle. And we're trying to figure out some things on the offensive side as we speak right now. And our defense has done a really good job of hanging in there. And it was really one of those games. And then we took the kickoff in the second half, the opening kickoff, back for a touchdown. So we got off to a 6-0 lead right out of the gate in the second half. And so, and then unfortunately we couldn't hang on there. They came down and took the lead, and then we had a costly turnover that did not help the situation. But we ended up getting down there to drive, and we were inside the red zone, ready to tie that game and ideally take the lead with an extra point. But it's kind of been one of the things that I'm seeing with this team as we build this program is really focusing on getting these small details right. Those small details are what are going to win and lose these games, especially in these close battles. And so
it doesn't sound like you guys are far off. And you keep the crowd really engaged during the game and keep us glued to the radio. Which, by the way, you can hear tonight's game 7 o'clock. Glenn Weil will have all the action. And you're facing a team that you haven't faced in a little while. Can you tell me a little bit about tonight's opponent?
Yeah, Edward Little is they're going to be a hard-nosed team. They got a new coaching staff themselves. They run a veer offense, which is we don't see it as much during these high school days anymore. That's a true run-heavy offense. They are tight, right? Basically it's like kind of fighting in a phone booth, so to speak, where you have everybody in a box, right? And so they run that veer to try to really give you it's a triple option as well. So it's something we don't see often. It's something that we've been working hard to be prepared for tonight. And I think the boys are going to be able to hang in there and do what they got to do.
I know you got to run off to practice and get these boys ready for the game tomorrow night. Well, actually, it's broadcast here on Friday morning, so we'll call it This Morning. But still, a little radio magic. Coach Todd Hildebrand, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week on Call with the Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
York County's Morning Show.